Well, I won't say a full fat can go anywhere, but it's doing a pretty good job in this. "2,000 miles, 1 year, it might be time to do a little review of the ice full fat trike that has carried me all those miles." Welcome back to the channel. Well, it's been a year. It's been 2,000 miles since I got this ice full fat trike. And I thought I'd take a few moments here while I'm in the middle of a ride on a beautiful evening with a sunset possible here in fall, because, well, it's Alaska and it's September and the leaves are starting to fall. But I thought I'd take a few moments to just talk about this trike and my experience so far. So it's kind of my version of a review. Do I think it was a good idea? Good purchase? Has it worked out? That kind of stuff. So I'm not sure how many points I'm going to make saying good, bad, but just a few thoughts of kind of where I'm at. So if you're thinking about an ice full fat, perhaps I can give you something to think about before you take that plunge, because one thing about them that you would say is probably not a good thing is they're very expensive. Very expensive. And in today's market, with the global economy doing what it's doing and the impact of everything, good luck even trying to get one. I have not seen a new one on the market here in Alaska for 6 months, and that one got snagged up before it even got out of the box. So, real quick view, this is what I'm looking at, and then we'll get into my review of my ice full fat trike. So, why would somebody want one of these full fat trikes? Well, the number one reason for me, when I think back over the year, is I was really trying to expand my cycling season. Because of where I live, and the fact that we get snow in September, and the cold comes not too long after that, and that very snow will stay on the ground, because up here it doesn't melt off, but that snow will be on the ground to the following March or April. The one year it was actually May. I simply needed something that was going to allow me to ride somewhere besides my living room. So a full fat trike did just that. I would guess somewhere around about 1,000 of those 2,000 miles that I mentioned were done during those cold winter months last year. So, one very good reason why the full fat works out well for me. Well, a second reason for the full fat in my situation, and a very positive one, is, as you can imagine, because of where I live, there are limited, although definitely not very limited, but definite limits as to where one can actually ride and trike. And so we do have paved roads, of course, and we do have that fairly decent infrastructure, but after you ride that same bike path or that same road for, in my case, the last 30 years, you really are looking to get to some of those places that you simply wouldn't normally take a bike or a trike that's really equipped for road riding. And so I can now ride stuff like this without worrying about the suitability of the tool to the task at hand. Well, the next reason why this full fat suits me so well is, well, truth be told, I'm getting a little older, and I just can't give up the riding, so I have to do things that help make that riding still pleasurable. And so because of that, this full fat is definitely an E-assisted one. It's got a Shimano E8000 motor on the front, and that connects to a 500 amp hour battery, which gives me a range in warm weather of 35, maybe 40 miles. In the winter it drops down to about 15, 16 miles. That means I can continue to come out and ride, and if the legs are a little tired or the hill's a little steep, I can kick that motor in and continue to enjoy. And then part of that is also connected. This trike's got a 14-speed roll-off hub in the back. And so, like most people, I really don't like the grease and all that stuff that goes with a derailleur, or in my case on a full fat, the weeds and the brush getting caught up in there, because, well, you can ride a full fat places you would never ride something else. And so the combination of those two, well, it just makes for very, very nice cycling. And when we look at another reason, well, you don't know how to say this because you don't want to offend anybody, but the reality is I kind of worked full-time for 40 years, and one of the byproducts of, I guess, doing that is when you get a little older, you have the ability to just say, you know, I'm going to do this because I want to do it. And so when this trike was available, and I, made that classic mistake of going for a test ride, the fact is I just said, I want to do this. And so I did. And I really, truly have no regrets whatsoever on this purchase. This trike is going to serve me well for years and years to come. So, there's some of the reasons why, well, in my review, this full fat is definitely something that works well for me. Well, with anything, every review, I think, you can't just list the positives. Surely there's something that, if I were the master of all trikes, I could sit there and improve upon. So as I'm riding along here, I'm kind of thinking about that and pondering, what would I improve upon? Well, first thing that comes to mind is this trike came equipped with 4.8 Jumbo Jim Schwalbe tires. And they're definitely a fat tire. They're designed that way. And I think in a lot of respects, for general use, they seem to do a pretty good job. But for my particular place of cycling and my circumstances, what I noticed a few months into the winter is it sure seemed like I just didn't quite have the traction that I thought I should have on the back. And so my initial purchase was I pulled the Jumbo Jim off the back rim, and I went down and I bought a studded tire. And that studded tire is a 4.0 tire, and it's, sorry about that, I'm in a fairly deep puddle. And the difference between that aggressive tread and having the studs on there was simply night and day. All of a sudden, some of the stuff I was riding and the hills you have to climb, I was no longer slipping. The tire seemed to just anchor itself and off we went. And so that's definitely unique, because not everybody rides a full fat in the winter in Fairbanks. Connected with that, a few months after that, I was, doing that, go to the bike store, poke around, looking in the back and some of the bargain bins, so to say, and I found 3, magic how that works, 3 Surly Nate tires that are 3.8 versus the 4.8. And not only did I find a set of 3, but they were 60% off. More aggressive tread. So, took that plunge, bought them, put them on the trike for the last month of winter riding, and then all summer. And again, what a difference. I've got such good traction now, all 3 tires. Nothing's moving, nothing's slipping. That little smaller of a tire is still giving me plenty of suspension, but I just feel like I've just got better traction now. So I guess if there's one thing I might change in the Master Universe, is probably that tire selection. Again, that's kind of a personal thing. And last, probably the only other thing that I might decide to change on one of these full fats with the electric assist, so I have to admit that I would probably somehow work with Shimano on their system, because currently the E8000 or even the E6100, which I've got on another trike, when you look at power assist levels, I like the torque sensor, meaning you don't get any assist unless you're pedaling, but they seem to have just locked in that you only need 3 levels. Now, admittedly, on the 8000, you can go in with some software and you can tweak those a little bit, but the reality for my application, I really would like more levels of assist, because sometimes that jump from level 2 to level 3, because you got a steep hill, it's like putting on a jetpack and boom, off you go. But then also drain goes the battery. So I think if I were to change it, I would just recommend to Shimano that surely with today's technology, you could definitely make it 5 levels of assist, or 9 levels of assist, or something. Just because that way I, as the rider, based on my conditions, could just dial it in just a tad bit better. So there you have it. Kind of my thoughts of my first year and 2,000 miles on my ice full fat. Would I buy it again? Oh, hands down, without hesitation. Without hesitation. It has simply just done so well for me, and it's helped me to cycle year round. And the fact is I can cycle places now that I simply wouldn't have before. I mean, today's a prime example. We went through a spell of 18 days of straight rain. Then the sun came out and dried some stuff up. And then, of course, about the time you're thinking, whoo, it's a good day. Yesterday it was raining, today it was raining. And the ground is simply so saturated that water has nowhere to go now. So, when I looked at what trike to ride, I picked the full fat, because I know the puddles aren't an issue for it. I know a little wet ground, yeah, I'll get a little mud on me, but it means I can go out on the trails and enjoy this fall weather and the fall scenery, and just gives me a break from the pavement. So absolutely, if you're looking for a off-road full fat trike, buy it. Just, if you get the opportunity, buy it, because they're going to become harder and harder to find. So I think we'll we'll call this a video. Of course, if you have thoughts, comments, please leave them below. I think everybody who has a YouTube channel enjoys that interaction of people commenting and what their thoughts can be or will be. If anybody comments and says, hey, can I buy your full fat? Nah, the answer will be no on that one. This is simply way too much fun. Way too much fun. All right, well, I hope you have a good day. Go for a ride. Enjoy it. Because there's no such thing as a bad ride. And after every ride, you always feel so much better.